In any sales team, any industry, any country, any product, curious, the same pattern shows up every single time. 20% of the salespeople produce 80% of the results, not sometimes, not in certain industries, every time. Brian Tracy spent decades trying to understand why, and what he found didn't just change his career, it changed how the entire world thinks about sales performance. Today, we break it down, and more importantly, we talk about exactly what it takes to get yourself into that top 20%. Brian Tracy started out as a struggling salesperson. No degree, no connections, no advantages, just cold calls, rejection, and a burning question he couldn't let go of. Why do some salespeople massively outperform everyone else? Not by a little, by a lot. In most sales teams, the top performers aren't earning 20 or 30% more than average. They're earning 3, 4, sometimes 10 times more. Same product, same territory, same market conditions. Completely different results. Tracy became obsessed with finding out why. He studied top performers across industries. He interviewed them. He broke down their habits, their mindsets, their daily routines. And what he found was both surprising and deeply practical. The gap between average and exceptional in sales is not talent. It is a small number of specific learnable behaviors, repeated consistently. That finding changed his life, and it should change how you approach yours. The 80-20 rule, also called the Pareto Principle, was first observed by Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto in the 1800s. He noticed that 80% of the land in Italy was owned by 20% of the population. Over time, researchers found this pattern everywhere. 80% of a company's revenue comes from 20% of its customers. 80% of complaints come from 20% of customers. 80% of results come from 20% of efforts. And in sales, 80% of commissions go to 20% of reps. Here's what makes this powerful and terrifying at the same time. The principle doesn't care about effort. The bottom 80% are not lazy. Many of them work just as hard, sometimes harder than the top 20. The difference is not activity level. It is the quality and focus of that activity. The top 20% are not doing more things. They are doing the right things better. Understanding that distinction is the beginning of everything. Of everything Brian Tracy uncovered in his research, one finding stood above all the others. The single biggest differentiator between top performers and everyone else was not skill. It was self-concept, how a salesperson sees themselves. Top performers, without exception, had a strong, positive, performance-oriented self-image. They saw themselves as top performers before the results confirmed it. They expected to close deals. They expected prospects to say yes. They expected to be successful. And that expectation, wired into their identity, shaped every behavior downstream, the way they walked into a call, the confidence in their voice, the way they handled rejection without internalizing it. Average performers had the opposite pattern. They were waiting for results to give them confidence. But here's the problem with that. Results come from behavior. Behavior comes from mindset. Mindset comes from self-concept. If your self-concept is weak, your mindset is uncertain, your behavior is hesitant, and your results reflect all of it. Tracy's conclusion was direct. You cannot wait for success to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself first and then go create the success. Beyond self-concept, Tracy identified a specific set of skills that top performers had developed and average performers had not. And here is the critical point. Every single one of them is learnable. First, prospecting. Top performers are relentless and strategic about who they target. They don't call everyone. They identify their ideal customer profile and focus their energy there. Average performers spread themselves thin and wonder why conversion is low. Second, building rapport quickly. Top performers make prospects feel comfortable and understood within the first 60 seconds. They ask better questions. They listen more carefully. They mirror and match the energy of the person on the other end. Third, identifying needs precisely. Average reps pitch features. Top performers diagnose problems. They ask questions that uncover the real pain, not the surface level complaint. And when they present a solution, it maps directly to what the prospect actually said they needed. Fourth, handling objections without hesitation. Top performers have heard every objection so many times they have internalized the responses.
They don't panic, they don't get defensive, they welcome objections because they know an objection is a prospect engaging, not a prospect leaving. Fifth, closing with confidence. Average reps hope the prospect closes themselves. Top performers ask for the business directly, confidently, without apology, because they believe in what they're offering and they believe the prospect deserves to have it. Here is one more pattern Tracy found in top performers that almost nobody talks about. They treated sales as a profession, not a job. The difference is enormous. A person with a job does what is required. A professional in a field invests in getting better at it, constantly, deliberately, and with the same seriousness a doctor or lawyer brings to their continuing education. Top sales performers read. They listen to recordings of their own calls. They attend trainings not because their company requires it, but because they want the edge. Tracy himself became obsessive about this. He read every book on sales, psychology, and human behavior he could find. He applied what he learned on his very next call. And over time, the compounding of small improvements produced results that looked like talent from the outside, but were actually just disciplined learning applied consistently. The bottom 80% stop learning after onboarding. The top 20% never stop. That gap, compounded over years, is the entire explanation for the 80-20 split. Let me make this concrete. Getting into the top 20% is not a mystery. It is a decision followed by a set of daily actions. Here is the roadmap. 1. Work on your self-concept first. Every morning before you dial, remind yourself who you are and what you're capable of, not as a motivational exercise, as a deliberate reprogramming of the narrative you carry into every call. 2. Identify the one skill that is most limiting your results right now. Not all of them. One. Is it prospecting, your opening, your objection handling, your close? Find the weakest link and attack it specifically. 3. Commit to 1 hour of deliberate learning every day. A book, a podcast, a call recording, a role play with a colleague. 1 hour a day of intentional improvement compounds faster than most people can imagine. 4. Track your key metrics obsessively. Calls made, conversations had, proposals sent, deals closed. Know your numbers better than anyone in the room, because when you know your numbers, you know exactly what needs to change. 5. Raise your standards, not just your goals. Goals are targets you hit occasionally. Standards are behaviors you maintain every single day. The top 20% don't just set higher goals, they operate at a higher standard on their best days and their worst. Brian Tracy asked a simple question at the beginning of his career. Why do some salespeople massively outperform everyone else? The answer was not luck, not talent, not territory. It was a set of specific, learnable behaviors applied consistently by people who decided they belonged in the top 20% before the results told them they did. That decision is available to you right now. This channel exists to give you the tools to back that decision up. Subscribe, And every single week, you get something practical, something field tested, something that moves you one step closer to the top of that list. The work starts here. Let's go.